My elementary school-age daughter was suddenly found to be pregnant. Portia, my mother-in-law, was heartbroken and held her tightly and cried bitterly. Velvet, my sister-in-law, was frantic, desperate to uncover the truth behind it all. My husband, with red, tear-filled eyes, said he would kill the person responsible. And me? I quietly made a bowl of chicken soup and gently told my daughter, take good care of yourself and the baby. Chapter 1. Mom. My stomach hurts. I feel like throwing up. I don't want to go to school today. My daughter clutched her stomach, her face pale, curling up on the couch. She looked truly uncomfortable. I reached into my bag, took out a pregnancy test and handed it to her. Go to the bathroom and see how many lines show up. My daughter glanced up at me, her face blank with bewilderment. The moment Portia, who had been washing dishes in the kitchen, heard what I said, she rushed over. She snatched the test from my hand, her expression a mix of disbelief and frustration. Callista, Iris is just a little girl in elementary school. She doesn't even know what this is. Why would you give her something like that? Velvet jumped in. Sis, you've got to be kidding. Iris is just a little girl. She doesn't even know what having a boyfriend means, let alone anything about pregnancy. She's probably just got a stomach bug. Let me take her to the hospital to get checked out. Without waiting for a response, she quickly scooped up my daughter and rushed her to the hospital. 2 hours later, they returned. Portia hurried over, her voice thick with concern. How is she? Is Iris all right? What did the doctor say? With a pale, strained face, Velvet handed her the report. The moment Portia glanced at it, she shrieked. Iris is pregnant? That's impossible. Her outburst was so loud that it pulled my husband, Dorian, out of his office to see what was going on. Dorian grabbed the pregnancy test report, his eyes widening in disbelief. How is this even possible? Iris can't just be pregnant out of nowhere. While they stood there, stunned and overwhelmed, I quietly made my way into the kitchen and began preparing chicken soup. In the living room, Portia and Dorian bombarded my daughter with frantic questions. Iris, is anyone at school picking on you? Has any man been spending too much time around you? Terrified by their relentless interrogation, my daughter went pale. Her head hung low, too scared to say a word. Velvet, after anxiously ending a phone call, turned toward us, her voice sharp with fury. I've already got someone looking into this. No matter what, I will find the bastard who did this. Dorian, his face twisted with rage, slammed his fist into the wall, the sound reverberating through the room. If I find out who hurt my daughter, I swear I'll kill him. Tears welled up in Portia's eyes as she gently cradled my daughter, her voice barely above a whisper. Iris, sweetheart, tell Grandma the truth. Do you know who got you pregnant? My daughter, who had been sitting in silence with her head down, finally looked up. Under everyone's gaze, her eyes met mine. She opened her mouth, as if to speak, but hesitated. I stepped out of the kitchen, carrying a bowl of freshly made chicken soup. Placing it in front of her, I said, drink the soup. Take good care of the baby. With that, I carefully scooped up a spoonful of the soup and gently fed it to her. Everyone else, witnessing this, was utterly stunned. Dorian frowned deeply and asked in a low voice, Callista, what are you doing? She's just a child. It's obvious she's been violated and yet you're telling her to take care of the baby. Are you seriously considering letting her keep it? Velvet, equally displeased, added, that's right, sister-in-law. Iris is still a kid herself. How could she possibly have a child? If this gets out, what will people think of her? Portia, her voice filled with grief and pain, also spoke up. Just thinking about Iris going through something like this at such a young age makes my heart twist in pain. No matter what, the child inside her cannot stay if she keeps it. Iris's life will be ruined. As I continued feeding my daughter the soup, I replied, almost casually, this is Iris's decision. She should be the one to choose. I turned to Iris, meeting her eyes, and asked, do you want to keep the baby? Iris hesitated. Then, with a tight-lipped expression, gave a small nod. Dorian immediately exploded with anger, his voice booming. Are you out of your mind? How can you let Iris decide something like this? Portia quickly backed him up, her tone sharp. Exactly. Iris is still a child. What could she possibly know? What kind of mother would put this on her? Just as Velvet was about to jump in and add more, her phone buzzed with a new message. She glanced at it and her expression instantly darkened. Turning toward me with clear frustration, she said, so it was all you're doing, wasn't it? Sister-in-law,